Okay, so let's talk about these new weight loss drugs. Things like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. They've done something kind of remarkable, right? Millions of people are losing massive amounts of weight. And for a lot of them, the side effects are, well, they're manageable. Look, this isn't just another diet fad. It really feels like we're at the start of a genuine medical revolution.
Get this, an incredible 1 in 8 adults in the US has already tried them. 1 in 8. And for the first time in, well, ever, the country's overall obesity rate has actually started to fall. That is a huge deal because, as you know, obesity is linked to so many major health problems. So with results this powerful, it begs the question, right? Should we just give these drugs to everyone who's overweight? Well, before we can even begin to answer that, we really need to understand the problem these drugs are trying to fix. And it turns out, at its very core, obesity is this fundamental mismatch between our ancient biology and the modern world we've built. Think about it. For almost all of human history, finding food was, well, it was hard. So our brains evolved this brilliant survival strategy. They became wired to absolutely love high-calorie stuff. We're talking sugar, fat, salt. Binging on that when you found it meant you survived. But now, fast forward to today, that exact same survival instinct is completely working against us. We are surrounded, absolutely swimming in cheap, delicious, calorie-packed food. And our ancient biology, it just can't help itself. It basically hijacks our behavior, making it almost ridiculously easy to overeat. And the scale of this problem, it's just staggering. We're talking over 1 billion people worldwide affected by obesity. It contributes to nearly 4 million deaths every single year. And this is why traditional dieting is so incredibly hard. You're not just fighting a simple craving for a cookie. You're fighting a deep, evolutionary program that is literally screaming at your brain to eat. And this really captures that frustrating cycle so many people know, right? You work incredibly hard to lose the weight, only to find it's almost impossible to keep it off. And I want to be super clear here. This is not a failure of willpower. It's a biological reality. And that's exactly why we've been so desperate for a solution that works with our biology for a change, instead of fighting against it. So that brings us to the hormonal key. See, our desire to eat, it's not really a simple conscious choice. It's run by this whole complex orchestra of hormones inside our bodies. And when we carry excess fat, that orchestra just gets thrown completely out of tune. It starts playing the wrong notes, making us feel way more hungry and pushing us to eat more and more. And there's one hormone in particular that's the star of this show. It's called GLP-1. After you eat a meal, your body releases it, and it does a few really important jobs. It tells your pancreas to release insulin, it slows down how fast your stomach empties, and crucially, it sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, you're full. But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. Its effect is super short-lived, like 2 minutes. In your bloodstream, GLP-1 is gone in about 2 minutes. Boof. Okay, and this is where the science gets so brilliant. Scientists figured out how to create an artificial version of GLP-1. One that plays that I'm full song much, much louder and for way longer. We're talking up to a full week instead of 2 minutes. They basically tweaked the molecule so our body can't break it down quickly. So what happens? Well, your digestion slows way down so you feel physically full for longer. And up in your brain, you get this loud, steady signal that just turns down the volume on your appetite, 24/7. You know, for people who deal with what they call food noise, that's that constant nagging chatter in your head about eating, the effect is just, it's profound. It's this huge psychological relief. All of a sudden, dieting feels almost effortless. It's not about gritting your teeth and using willpower anymore. It's a drug that's fundamentally changing your biology, which then changes your behavior. So, what are the results of this biological hack? Well, they are nothing short of a medical revolution. Seriously, the effectiveness of these drugs is something we've just never seen before. Just look at this comparison. It really lays it all out. With really disciplined, sustainable dieting, someone might lose, 5 to 10% of their body weight in a year? That's great. But with these GLP-1 drugs, that number jumps to over 20%. I mean, that's a level of weight loss that, until now, you could really only get with something as drastic as bariatric surgery. And honestly, it's not just about the numbers on the scale. The other health benefits are absolutely stunning. We're talking a 20% reduction in the risk of a heart attack or stroke. The chances of developing diabetes, they crash by 66%. We're also seeing better kidney and liver function, less sleep apnea, lower inflammation. And there's even early research showing it might help slow Alzheimer's and curb addictions to things like alcohol and nicotine. And get this, what's truly wild is that some of these benefits happen even if you don't lose a ton of weight.
Okay, but, and this is a big but, this is where we have to face the uncomfortable truth. A drug this powerful doesn't come for free. There are some really significant downsides and hidden costs that we have to talk about. So the most common side effects you hear about are things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach issues. For most people, they're unpleasant, for sure, but they tend to go away. Now, there are more serious issues like pancreatitis or kidney problems, but they're pretty rare. We're talking less than 5% of people. But the real danger, and this is the one we really need to focus on, actually comes from the drug's greatest strength, the super rapid weight loss. See, if you lose weight that fast without doing two key things, resistance training and eating enough protein, you don't just lose fat, you lose a ton of muscle. And that is so, so harmful. Why? Because muscle is what drives your metabolism. Losing it makes you weaker, it makes you more likely to get injured, and it makes it way, way easier to regain all that weight as fat down the road. This is especially dangerous for anyone over the age of 40. And all of this leads to the final, and maybe the most unsettling question of all, the forever question. What happens when you stop taking the drug? Is this really a cure, or have you just signed up for a lifetime subscription to health? The data we have so far is pretty sobering. Look at this. While a little over half of people do manage to keep most of the weight off, that means a combined 45% either regain a significant amount or put all of it right back on. This strongly, strongly suggests that for a lot of people, keeping the results means staying on this drug forever. And because these drugs are so new, we honestly have no idea what that means for our health 20, 30 years down the line. So, where does that leave us? It's a tough question. Look, these drugs are an incredibly powerful tool. There's no doubt about it. They make something that is biologically very, very hard much easier. But they're not a magic bullet. They still demand that we do the work and build the healthy habits we might have been avoiding. So the real question is, have we finally solved obesity? Or have we just subscribed to a cure, trading one chronic condition for a lifelong and still largely unknown prescription?